Hey everyone, General Gemmel here, and today I present to you another review. Get it? Because it's the name of the... and I'm just another... just cut the intro, just cut to the intro. Another is the 2012 KA Works, based on a novel of the same name by Yukito Ayasuji. Now, to be honest, I'm not the biggest horror fan, if for the fact that I literally am a chicken that just about anything and everything for it. However, this one was always on my to-watch list if because of one particular scene that I saw back at Anime Expo. And as I said, because I don't watch that much horror in general, I'm not the biggest expert in saying whether or not something's good at being a horror story or not. However, my experience with another was, well, different from other times I've seen horror before. So, in a way, I guess another becomes a very special case, I guess you would word it. So I will be trying what I can with it. Hopefully I do get it right and be able to say whether or not it was good, at the same time whether or not it did well as a horror genre. So if you can bear with me, hopefully we can get through this video just fine. So without further ado, here's a look back at another. Here we go to the breakdown.
Another is set in the year 1998 in Yomiyama City. We see protagonist Koichi Sakakibara start his new life in the city. Unfortunately, that doesn't go too well as he ends up with a collapsed lung and in the hospital. During his stay at the hospital, after being visited by the class representatives, he runs into Mei Misaki, a peculiar girl with an eye patch for whatever reason. When he is discharged and goes back to school, he is warned by one of the class representatives to not get involved with Mei, which in turn he learns of a curse that the classroom experiences every year and what the correlation this curse has with Mei this time around. Long back in 1972, a popular student existed named Misaki Yomiyama. Classmates, facility members, and all the like really adored him. Unfortunately, he died in a fire with his family at home. Unable to accept his death, everyone in his classroom continued to act as if though he had never died. In doing so, this seems to invoke the curse onto the classroom. Whenever the classroom number of students exceeds the normal amount, anyone from that classroom can and will die. Now from that point onward, the show acts more like a mystery show rather than a horror show. Granted, yes, it's both genres, but the thing is that the horror element never feels like it ever becomes a thing, and it always relies more on the mystery aspect to keep itself entertaining. And because it acts more like a mystery rather than a horror, it has everything play out as typical of a mystery story would be, with the main character Koichi, seeing something, wondering why it happens, going about trying to find the answer, so on and so forth. Now if you're familiar with mystery stories, then you would know that the answer to everything doesn't get revealed till the end. That's all fine and dandy, but the problem I felt another kept doing was that whenever the characters get close to finding the answer, the story had a tendency to do everything in its power to stop the cast from proceeding onward. That's not to say the pacing of the show is terrible per se, rather a slow gradual build to the end.
Until the last two episodes. Now as far as main characters goes, Koichi falls under the typical good guy type of character.
Trying to get along with people, never letting anyone get hurt, optimistic view, and whatnot. And that's really all I can say. I can't really recall anything of him that stood out for me. He's really just there. He's just another generic good guy archetype. Sure, there are some things that exist that add some depth to his character, but ultimately he exists to be just another pawn to the story. Mei, on the other hand, is the more mysterious character of the two and the main female lead of another. Her overall personality falls into the typical deaded character types of anime, being the Kurare brand, very few emotions, and a quiet, somber-like voice. Mei pretty much has the role of appearing with what seems to be like the answers, when you consider how mystery stories always handle the abnormal type of characters. Albeit that the answers she gives come off rather vague than an absolute solution. I guess in a way, for the two of them, they mostly shine for their personalities when the two interact with one another, getting along on friendly terms, and also trying to discover the mystery together, as they seem to be the only two that can figure out what is going on. Past that, there's really nothing else for them as sense of characteristics and development of their characters. I would elaborate more on other characters in the show, but because of the anyone can die rule, you pretty much deal with characters who either provide some clue or are just a background character with no importance that can end up dead. That's not to say that no one is important or select few who do more than others would. Rather, they all end up the same as Koichi, where they all exist as their stereotypes ending up as pawns for the story.
In regards to the studio for another, it's quite funny to see another listed under the main productions of Filmworks. At least, when you compare it to other work they've done such as Truth Tears, Glass Lip, Shirobako, Charlotte, and even Angel Beats. Well, at least one of the three that stand out from Filmworks. Now, for me to talk about the more detailed parts of the animation, I will have to talk about some key deaths in the show. So, here's the non-spoiler take on the animation for the show. When it's all fine and normal, simple and average. When a death or nightmarish moment is occurring, you start seeing where the show really starts to shine the most. From here on out, I will be talking about certain moments in the show, so click here or go to where the timestamp says so in order to skip all that if you don't want to be spoiled for the show.
The person who took the helm of directors, Tsutomu Mizushima. For being one of the few series where blood is a major work, he seems to have a knack for it. Why did I say that? Well...
It's what it's gonna feel. It's what it is about the walls on the cell.
Another stands as the second show he has done with this amount of blood after Blood Sea. Surprising that he doesn't do more series like these with this amount of blood. There's especially a spike in one episode where Koichi is having a nightmare of the people who have died, and the quality was very great for whatever reason they chose to invest in that episode. Past that, the show is very basic with its choices of representation, usage of dark colors, sky seems to switch between gray and red, etc. and etc. The show's opening is Koimu Dense by Ali Project, while the ending is Ananesmus, I hope I pronounced that right, by Annabelle. Between the two, I find myself enjoying the ending more than the opening. The show opening was befitting for the tone it had. My only note is that the song felt rather fast-paced for said tone. Honestly, it felt like it would have been another variation of a theme for Sable from Killer Instinct. You could argue that the same could be said about the ending, but I guess the peaceful and tranquil feeling it had, along with the mix of piano and violin, roped me into liking it. I guess in a way, the song provides this idea that after everything, there might be a chance to find happy, peaceful times again.
Now, the music was composed by Cole Otani, someone who's had to handle a fair amount of kaiju films, mostly Gamera related and such. Though he is someone who has done probably one of the best video game soundtracks of all time.
Once again, as a horror show, it has its fair share of ambient sounding pieces, things that range from what sounds like xylophones, synthesizers, water fountain, piano, etc. The interesting thing to all of it comes down to the usage of one particular instrument, the electric guitar. Now every now and then, one of the songs has an electric guitar playing in it. I find it interesting since typically I don't really hear the electric guitar used for a scary feel. Random interesting fact is that the soundtrack's music doesn't have a title for any of the songs. Now, for the dub. I don't want to say that the case is because I saw in Japanese first, that the dub was a bad experience. Rather, I was trying to guess what the English cast would sound like. I can definitely say Greg Ayers wasn't my first thought for Koichi. Monica Rio's maid doesn't really surprise me, considering her track record of eye patch girls. Maybe a little too soft, but okay nonetheless. The rest of the cast comes down to decent casted voice actors to play their parts. Ultimately, nothing really to harp about.
Another is one of those cases where it does the job right till it hits the rough patch towards the end. As I said, I'm no horror aficionado. That is a word, right?
Yes.
Okay, making sure. However, I do feel as if though another isn't really the best horror anime. The problem with that, it's one of the few horror animes out there that attempt to be horror. At least, not where horror seems to be a mix of anything that involves supernatural elements, excessive amount of bloody imagery, or just seemingly just has death. Then again, gore in horror is in itself a problem, but that's a different discussion for another time. Honestly, I would say another felt more along the lines of a thriller than a horror. I mean, if you took the supernatural part of it and replaced it with a murder story, then I feel it would have worked out the same way. it may have done better as a murder story than a horror story. So, in the end, my overall rating of Another is a silver. It does what it can, but it, well, doesn't exceed it where it wants to be. At the time of this video, Another has been licensed by Crunchyroll for legal streaming. If you do wish to pick up the DVD and Blu-ray, however, then you could head over to Sentai Filmworks website and look for a copy of such. Anyways, thanks for sticking to the end of this video, if you're still around, I guess. I know some of you who are watching this are probably wondering, what the hell is this video doing here? I thought that this was an editing channel. Well, I do have a reason for doing so. Although I am going to try to do a follow-up video for that explanation, either the same day or the following day. So, give me some time to get that one through if you feel to do that. If you don't like any of these type of videos and suddenly hate me for doing so, I guess, yeah, you can unsubscribe and go somewhere else for other things, I guess. Anyways, thanks for watching. If I'm in this video, I should be releasing this on Halloween, so hopefully you all have a good Halloween. I know that there's that whole clown thing that's been going on, so be careful. Be very wary of clowns on a Halloween night, because God knows what that's leading all up to. So anyways, everyone take care. So I guess, one last time, thank you for watching this video if you're still around. I'm General Grandma, and this was a Midnight Center. Continue, everyone.